Hello, hello. I'm so glad that you are hopping on. We'll get started in 5 minutes. But in the meantime, I'd love to hear where you're joining from and maybe either a favorite trip you've taken, like a destination that you recommend, because I'm always trying to add to my list, or a trip you are planning right now. You're in the process. Either it's, just an idea, but you're going for spring break, fall break, or whatever. I'd love to hear about that in the chat. Oh, Kendra, I'm glad you're excited. I'm excited too. Well, that's a lovely place to be from, Kendra. Oh, Kendra, a trip to DC. Well, I love DC, and I will work on creating some good DC content on my blog for you. And you can always contact me through Instagram or whatever the case may be if you want extra help on DC. I'm still working on a lot of trips. There's a lot of trips that I thought I was going to be taking sooner than I have, and that's okay. They're just still in the works, and I'm still getting them planned. Oh, Heidi, I love this. Tuning in from Richmond, Virginia. All right, my East Coaster. You love visiting Paris, wanting to plan a 10-year anniversary trip, but not sure where yet. Okay, I love Paris as well. It is so wonderful. So I'm glad that you love Paris. And my husband and I went to, it's a weird combination, but we went to Switzerland and Norway, and I highly recommend them both. They were incredible for different reasons. Switzerland had better weather. But I personally am like looking at the Dolomites in Italy, and I feel like I follow a lot of travel influencers, and I feel like everyone is going to the Dolomites right now, and I'm missing out. So I'm sure you'll figure out a great place, and hopefully you'll get some inspiration today. We're not talking a lot about destinations, but the concept we're talking about today are going to touch upon things that will help you get a little bit more direction. Okay, so I hope you get something out of that today. I'm glad you're here, Heidi. Thanks for coming. We'll start. 2 more minutes. They're on your list too, Heidi. I know they're worthwhile. We're really planning one for our kids with us too. And my son loves turtles, and my daughter watched a show once that had Costa Rica in it. So Costa Rica is very high on our list, but and we'll talk budget, and I'll probably even talk about Costa Rica, but it's definitely one of those more stretch budget ones for me. And so it takes a little bit more planning and logistics, but I may or may not have already made a PowerPoint and presented it to my husband about how we need to be going to Costa Rica. So I guess that's another option too. I feel like the list is so long, which is kind of nice, right? Because then I'll end up happy anywhere. Okay. Thank you to those of you who are joining. We are starting in like less than 60 seconds. But in the meantime, I would love for you to tell me where you're from if you want to, or where you want to go next on a trip or a favorite trip you've taken. Let's like just start that like travel energy going. and do that. And yeah, Kendra talks about, I just talked about how I made a PowerPoint about a destination I want to visit to. And Kendra's like, yeah, I love that. I need to make some PowerPoints for my husband. They can be very persuasive. I'm using one today, right, to help teach. I'm a former middle school teacher. I'll talk about that in a minute. But, but with that, excuse me, I'm a lot of a good PowerPoint to help teach and get that going. Okay, it is on the hour. I absolutely want people to come and join us, but I also want to be respectful of your time. So why don't we wait until 1 after the hour and then we will start. As a reminder, this is also going to be available as a 48-hour replay. So if you have to leave early or you hopped on late, I guess you wouldn't hear this because you're not here yet, but you're able to do that. Okay. It is time to begin. So give me just one quick minute. Going through a few details. Okay, we're going to start, you guys. 3 steps to family travel success. These are the 3 myths that are keeping moms like you and me, hopefully not for long, stuck. And I have some steps to help you confidently plan your travel and to plan your travel on budget. So we're going to jump in and we're going to get started. If I know how to click. Boop. Okay. So this training for you today is for you if you've ever had the desire to plan a trip and actually come home feeling excited and rejuvenated instead of exhausted. This is for you if you have felt the overwhelm of not just motherhood, but then piling on other things that you want to have in your life, like travel, but it just feels like more. This is for you if you want to come away from this meeting feeling confident and ready to plan your next trip and actually excited about it instead of feeling like it's more work. So I am asking you to come and focus with me. We're going to spend the next 30, 45 minutes of learning time together. I'm going to give you strategies that you can use right away. And I'm going to share several free tools with you that you can also use right away and today. And at the end, I'm also going to talk about how to keep this momentum from today going so that you can continue to feel empowered and excited about travel with your family. I just mentioned it, but yes, free. I love free things. And I feel like giving away free good stuff. Okay. Not just this anyways, what I like to give away free things with value. Okay. To make it really feel like worth your time. So there are going to be free printables, free tools associated with each topic that we're going to cover, these 3 myths and the truths aligned to them. So stay to the end because I'll give you the link for that then. And also, if you're watching this live, I'm sorry if you're on the replay, but if you're watching this live, you will have the opportunity to get a bonus freebie as well. And that's only valid, again, during this live presentation. So stick with me. It'll be at the end, but I will let you kind of know what they are throughout the process, so you're not surprised. Hello. I am Maggie, and I am a mother of 3. I am a former middle school teacher. I am slightly obsessed with the national parks, and I probably have 5 to 10 trips planned or in the works that I don't even know when we're going on them. I was kind of talking to Heidi here too. We have a ton of places on our list, and I kind of start planning them ahead of time. Because travel planning for me is fun. It's a release. It's kind of a hobby. But I know that a lot of you, it's just more work. It's just a lot of brain power and time and research and confusion. So that's why I'm here. My family and I, we are working our way through the U.S. national parks. I'm up to 30 of the 63. So maybe 31, getting close to that halfway point, and still plugging away at it. I've been to about 16 countries. But I want to tell you before we do that, if you haven't been to a national park and you have only been into the country of origin that you are from, that is fine. You still can have wonderful, meaningful travel experience, not far from home. And that's something I kind of emphasize as well. But I've also created what's called Parks Family Travel. It's an Instagram, it's a website, it's a whole business. Okay. And I created it because my whole goal is to help those who feel overwhelmed, because I've definitely felt that, and help them feel more calm and purposeful in their travel, because I understand the value of travel. And I hope you feel that too. Okay, so I want you to imagine this. Think about this. You are probably here because travel is important to you as well. Okay, you wouldn't take the time out of your day if this isn't something that you want to improve on in your life and for your family. But I want you to take this and imagine for a second. It's probably not hard to imagine this first part, right? You're overwhelmed from your day to day, and the idea of adding travel planning and all of the logistics involved just adds more sticky notes to your steering wheel or to-do lists in your brain, right? So imagine that. It's basically where you are right now, probably, right? But then I want you to shift that. I want you to close the door on that and think about going and taking a trip and not letting the logistics and the budget and the lack of time that you have either to plan or be on the trip ruin it for you. I want you to think about and imagine taking a trip and actually enjoying it. And I'm sure you guys have had enjoyable trip experiences. That's why, again, you're here and you see the value in travel. But my goal is for you to look at travel planning and not see it as a chore, but as a tool for helping you create more meaningful experiences with your family. Oh, Ellen, I'm glad. Ellen says, with or without kids, travel feels overwhelming. So thanks. Yes, it can. If there's a lot, you're out of your comfort zone and things like that. And again, my goal is to help you. So if you've ever sat down to plan a trip and you thought, this is too much, there's just too much money, too much logistics, all of that, I totally get it. And as a mom of 3, I've been in that same spot. I've tried to balance the budget, balance the schedule, not only the schedule of the trip, but figuring out how to get travel to fit within our family schedule, the expectations within what we want to happen in a trip. And over time, I have developed a way to simplify the process so that travel feels exciting and motivating and energizing instead of just stressful. And it's taken practice, and not every trip that we go on goes on without a hitch. But we take now probably 6 to 7 trips each year with our kids, and that process is improving each time. And that's what I'm going to introduce to you today, is some of those helpful things as well. Yes, let's make travel feel like less of a chore, Courtney. I love it. Thank you. So here are our objectives today. We are going to plan with purpose, not pressure. We're going to learn to spend smarter on a real budget, and we're going to save time with a repeatable framework. I'm going to tackle 3 myths about traveling, and we're going to rewrite them into truths. And these truths and the tools that I'm going to share with you are going to help you jumpstart get you the jumpstart that you need to change the way you travel. So it's not a chore, it's something exciting and enjoyable even. So again, here we are. These are our objectives. These are kind of the 3 things that we're going to do to take away. We're going to talk about having a purpose and a process. We're going to talk about how a budget is something you can love or stay within. We'll talk about a repeatable framework. So let's talk myth number 1. We're jumping right into it, okay? You have to do it all to make it worth it. The pressure that steals your joy the fastest with travel planning is the feeling like you have to do everything to make the trip feel like it had value. And that's not true. So if we don't do it all, the trip won't be worth it. If you've ever kind of went into travel planning, if you can say like, that's me, or I've been there, totally let me know. I've had that problem where I'm like, if we're going somewhere and I don't think I'm ever going there again, like we're doing it all and we're going hard. But I've learned the hard way that that's not always the best approach for meaningful travel. So here's a truth. You do not need a packed itinerary to feel like the trip was a success. You really need the right purpose and the right priorities. And we're going to talk about how to find that purpose and that priority. So have you ever, tell me this is you. You say, this is me. Have you ever come home from a trip feeling more tired than when you left? Feeling more exhausted? You feel that maybe you packed so much into it and there was so much on your shoulders and your responsibility that you come home and you're like, we've seen the memes, right? I need a vacation from my vacation and things like that. If that's ever been you, let me know in the chat. Or maybe if this is you keep pushing everyone to see it all. So you pack your days full because you don't know if you'll ever be back to Paris or New York City or Glacier National Park. So you're like, well, we're here. We're going to see and do it all. Yeah, Courtney, I need a vacation from my vacation. You've been there. And that's because, but then you end up, so you're like pushing and pushing and pushing, even without children, right? You're pushing and pushing and pushing. And then you have the meltdowns, grownups or children. You have the exhaustion, you have the frustration, right? Yes, Heidi has felt that too. Almost everyone says, right? Ellen, almost every trip, I think, I don't want to go again. Like that was just too much. We don't want that to happen to you. So let's talk about that. What really makes travel worth it isn't all of the things you do. Those are great. Like I love seeing and experiencing new things, but it's knowing what your purpose is and then aligning everything to that purpose. Are you there to reconnect as a family? Are you there to experience new things? And yes, you may end up having a more packed itinerary with this new experiences. Or are you there to you're like, we're taking a trip and we're going to slow down and we are going to relax. When you start with that clarity, you don't feel the pressure to do everything and you feel the vision to just do the right things. And it's going to be different for everyone. Heidi, meltdowns are almost worse when they're from the grown-ups. Yeah. As one who's had a few meltdowns herself, my husband and kids can attest the grown-up ones are worse. So let's give you some 3 takeaways to help you plan a trip that feels exciting instead of exhausting. Okay. This is for you. 3 takeaways. Number 1, when approaching a trip, I encourage you to write 1 sentence and 3 priorities. Okay. This is what I mean. You're going to write a 1 sentence that includes your purpose and then the 3 priorities. So actually, let's back up. You're going to write 1 sentence. We are going to Paris so that my kids can be experience a new culture. That's my purpose, right? Now, for me, every trip we take has the underlying, we're going to bond as a family. So that's really my higher purpose is we're going to fill in the blank to strengthen our family relationship. That's always what it is. But then I might have a more specific purpose to the destination. So Paris is, I want my kids to experience a different culture. They want to see life outside of Utah. Okay. So that's my purpose and I write it down. And then I create 3 priorities. When we are in Paris, there are 3 things that we want to see or do or accomplish. Okay. So my kids love crepes. And if I want some buy-in with them, I could be I like to let them plan the trip with me, even though I'm kind of, giving them options that I like. Okay. So maybe one of our priorities, and it's so simple, right, is to have a true French crepe because my kids love crepes. They'll never eat my crepes again, probably when we come back. But it's that is one of our priorities is to have a crepe while we're in Paris from a creperie. Okay. Then you can come with 2 other priorities. That is going to help you decide faster with your itinerary. It's going to help you spend smarter because you're going to put your money towards those priorities. And it's going to help you ditch those extras that kind of lead to FOMO. So these are things you can kind of tell yourself once you've written your one purpose and 3 priorities. If it serves our purpose or is in the top 3, it's a yes. It's easy to say. It fits our purpose. It's one of our top 3. Yes, it's going into the itinerary. Yes, we are budgeting for it. If it is not one of those things, purpose or 3 priorities, it's a maybe. It's an automatic maybe. It's we'd like to do it and we'll still keep that in consideration. But if we leave Paris and we've done these, 4 things, purpose and 3 priorities, we will be good. Everything else is, a cherry on top. We're going to plan our budget around those priorities so we stop overstuffing our days. And because we've named what matters, those 4 things, we're going to skip the rest without feeling guilty and we'll still feel like it's worth it. Kendra, I love it because it helps you create your bucket list, but also naturally sticks flexibility into your trip. Absolutely. it helps you. Yeah, it gives you that permission to say no to, which we'll talk about in a minute. So thank you so much for that. The next is, okay, you have your purpose, you have your 3 priorities, and then it's to create a very simple plan. This is specific on your itinerary. When you're creating an itinerary, each day have an anchor activity, have a backup or like a nice extra, and have built-in rest time. And let's talk about what that looks like. So your anchor is probably going to be one of your top 3. Sometimes you might, it depends on the trip. Sometimes maybe some of your top 3 will actually end up happening all in one day. Like maybe it's, we wanted to eat crepes, we want to see the Eiffel Tower and go and visit the Louvre. I know those are all very traditional Parisian things, so nothing too exciting, right, for you? Especially, I think Heidi had been there before. She'll probably be like, no, those aren't the top 3. But I might end up doing crepes and the Eiffel Tower in the same day. Oh, what if we're eating crepes while looking at the Eiffel Tower? Yeah. And then, so the anchor may also just be something that fulfills our purpose, right? To experience culture. So I could think more like, what is truly French? What is something that's maybe not so touristy, but genuinely like a great experience? Maybe a cooking class with an actual French family, things like that. So the anchor will be usually from your purpose or your 3 priorities. Then you can usually a whole, seeing the Eiffel Tower is not going to be your whole experience that day. But again, when traveling with children, especially, you need to make sure, and that kind of jumps to our rest, that we're not overstuffing those days. So we might say we want to see the Eiffel Tower, and then find something that's near the Eiffel Tower that I can add as like my backup or our extra if we have time and have the energy. Okay, so your anchor, your backup, and then rest. Rest is either literally planning in your day to go back to the hotel and rest and not feel like you're missing out on something if that's what your family needs, or it is to build an extra, a long time, a long lunch or a very slow time to get from the next point to the other and things like that. Also, when I rest, I do want you to also think about taking how are we going to get from point A to point B and that exhaustion as well. So Paris has the metro, but maybe we have plan A, plan B. If we have the energy, we're going to walk this whole, along the Seine to this next destination. If we don't have the energy or we're feeling poorly or the weather's bad, that backup and rest can be, we'll take a taxi cab or the metro. Okay, enough about planning our day in Paris. And Heidi, just for those who haven't been to Paris, she also says that they are things that are worth it on every trip to Paris. So we're okay to use those as examples. The next is your skip list, okay? You are going to pre-decide what you are not doing. Now, do you end up doing it? Maybe, but when I say you pre-decide, Paris has so many things, and a lot of people may not have as much time in that city that they want, right? Because you could spend like weeks in Paris, really, right? And a lot of people might have like 3 days, 5 days, 1 day, right? And so you're going to need to pre-decide what you're like, that's going to have to be for next time. That's going to be for another trip, or even if I don't make it back to Paris, I'm going to be at peace with this. So pre-decide what you're doing. Name 2 or 3 things you won't have time for and that you're willing to skip on purpose, and already kind of make your peace with it. If all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's no line at the Saint-Chapelle, I've missed Saint-Chapelle because of lines. I didn't know what I was doing. It's actually kind of a high priority for me, but there's these beautiful stained glass windows, okay? But maybe you've said no to Saint-Chapelle because you didn't get tickets in time, or the line is too long, or you won't be in that region, whatever the case may be. You're like, yep, we're going to skip it this time. It doesn't mean you have to skip it. It just means you're comfortable missing that and already made, I guess, peace with that, okay? You want to set guardrails. You want to be like, we are not going to go anywhere that's more than 60 minutes away. If it's not like a full-on day trip, or I'm not going to have a late night and then an early morning. So you kind of want to set these guardrails for planning your itinerary to protect your own health, like literal health, your mental health, and like your sleeping wellness. Okay. And also knowing your limits of your kids, right? We we went to the Redwoods and we had several like 4 to 5 hour driving days. And that was not well planned. I didn't set guardrails for my family on that. And we pushed a little too hard on that. And the next is to not force the fun. So you can kind of say to yourself, if the crowds are overwhelming, if the long lines are not worth it to you, your kids are super tired or cranky, be okay to pivot and say, we're not doing this. We'll go and do this instead. You need to be okay with saying no and not forcing the fun. Because again, usually that higher purpose, right, is that special time with our families. And that can happen again anywhere. Okay. The destination is like the extra a lot of times, or even if my purpose is to experience Parisian culture, if the line for the crepes is 2 hours long, I'm sure we can find a different creperie. It doesn't have to be like the #1 Yelp rated creperie. We can find a different one or try again another day and be okay with saying no. So don't force the fun. Yes, Ellen, know your limits, right? Know your own limits when you're planning this, and don't vacation you is usually a little bit more tired than regular you. So keep that in mind when planning. I love that. And Elise is saying being flexible is a game changer, huge game changer. Being okay with that and making peace with that. It's a little bit harder for my type A personality, but it's totally doable. All right, here's our first freebie. So I'll give you the link to it at the end, but it's the Travel Purpose Planner. So this is going to be yours. And it's going to help you define your purpose before you even start booking so that your plans can line up with what matters most to you. Okay, so it's got some fun, fun, I guess they're fun to me because I love travel planning, but there's some activities, some AI prompts to help you really narrow down on that purpose. You don't need to spend a huge time coming up with a purpose, but if this is kind of new to you and you really want to zero in on that and kind of do some activities there, you got your Travel Purpose Planner, okay? Oh, good, Amber's gonna like it. Oh yeah, Ellen had a great idea also just with the flexibility. She says, I love going to parks and just letting the kids play and interact with locals and just have a real experience. And parks are a huge way of doing that. I love that. Okay, we're up to myth number 2. You need a lot of money to travel. I am going to admit you need some money, but my biggest advice about travel is do not go into debt to pay for a vacation. Okay, you do not have to have a lot of money to have meaningful travel with your family. We cannot travel until we have a lot of money or a lot more money. It's a kind of a lie we tell ourselves a lot, especially because we get excited about these big headlining trips. And that's not true. You can start planning now on your budget, whatever it is, and still create amazing memories. Great trips are built on smart choices and not on huge budgets. When you plan around real numbers and your clear priorities, your purpose, you can travel sooner than you thought you could. You can spend smarter and you can still come home feeling really content. So keep that in mind. This is the lie we're going to address. And I want to hit this home. My kids have been on some pretty cool trips. We haven't left the country yet, but we've gone to Washington, D.C. When they were really little, we did New York City, San Francisco, some big fun, Disneyland trips, right? Ones that cost a little bit more than what you see here, our $30 camping trip. So this summer, we went 30 minutes away, spent $30 on a camping spot, almost came home, honestly, because at first we couldn't put our tent there, but we figured something out. And the next day, my son, who's 11, says, Mom, that was like the best thing we've done like this month. Like out of all the fun things we've done this summer, like this has been the best thing. And in my mind, it hadn't really gone as pictured. It didn't nearly take as much planning as everything else. But it's because it had just what we needed, right? We needed that time together. We needed to have a good s'more. And we needed to let my 11-year-old sleep in a hammock, which I was very averse to, but we let him do it. And it was actually a really great growing experience for both of us. And it was the best trip he had. And we spent $30 plus, we went to dinner before, less than $100. So that is what I really want to emphasize is smart strategies are more important than big budgets. And you also can travel and see things on points and miles. That's not really My expertise, I do have, and she's actually with us today, Amber. Amber on Points. If you want to go to her Instagram and you want to start learning the points game, Amber on Points, she's my go-to gal, and she has so much for you. But it is the smart strategies, which includes points, is more important than having a big budget because it's something you can use whatever your budget is. So when you have the big budget, you can still use these smart strategies. So let's talk about some of these smart strategies. Okay, so 3 money moves. These are 3 money moves that are going to help you stay within your means while still having a meaningful experience. So number 1, use the right tools. And I'm not going to go into depth on these right now. I do have the Family Travel Made Easy membership where I do go into each of these in very detailed videos and walkthroughs. But let me just give you the brief 101 if you haven't heard of these, okay? Oh, and Kendra asked a really great question. Kendra, I'm going to have you hold on to that for the Q&A part, okay? But you guys can all think about it and chime in too later. It says, how do you create a budget that works for the whole family without sacrificing experiences? Because you have to have that balance. And that's something we'll talk about in the Q&A. But the first one, and even answering that, is using this right tools, right? Google Flights. If you use Google Flights or have ever used Google Flights, hit yes or no. I actually want to know who like regularly uses Google Flights. That's like a yes. Give me all the excitement. If it's like you've maybe looked at it, but you don't use it a lot, you give me a thumbs down or a no or a maybe one day. But Google Flights is an amazing tool to use to help you not just do your first search, because I think a lot of people stop at like the search and they say, oh, okay, that's the cheapest one. I'll go with that. You can track your prices. You can look at date grids that say, oh, if I change it one day, it will be this much cheaper, and things like that. Oh, Kendra's like, I used it after you taught me. Oh, I'm so glad. Yeah, and Amber says sometimes it helps you to know which airlines to use, right? Especially as you get to the third part, loyalty programs. We'll talk about it in a second. Next is cashback portals. Okay, so Google Flights. If you don't know a lot of Google Flights, first of all, Family Travel Made Easy, we'll talk about in a minute, is going to give you all you need to know about Google Flights. But also you can just keep following me on Instagram at Parks Family Travel. And we go into that a little bit as well. Cashback portals. Okay, and Heidi, use it for your initial search. Awesome. And so hopefully, as you dig in and play with it a little bit more, you get some more feedback on, or you get to dig deeper and really find some of those deals. Cashback portals, Rakuten and Fetch are the ones I use. Rakuten is great because if you use certain points programs, you can tie it to that. But it's also just straight cashback. I literally, it's in my drawer right here. Let me see if I can hide, like, this is my check that I just got this week from Rakuten. It's 20 bucks, but I literally am clicking the portal and ordering things, and that I get 20 bucks. And this is a quarterly paycheck. So, and I'm not using it to its full extent, but it's 20 bucks in my bank account. So cashback portals, but you can also tie that to loyalty programs, which is the next one. Oh, and I also said Fetch. Fetch is great just because it's for groceries. And again, it's also just gift cards. So it's not super travel related. Rakuten's really great for that, as well as cashback portals tied to hotels or airlines that you might have more loyalty programs with. Oh yeah, Kendra said Rakuten, and what was the other one? Fetch, like a dog, fetch, go fetch it. So that's great. Oh, and Ellen's never heard of cashback portals. Oh, Ellen, you're going to love those. Okay. I wish we could go in more in depth here, but again, in Family Travel Made Easy, we do. But you can also just do a cursory search on cashback portals, best cashback portals for people who travel with Delta or who have a Capital One card. Almost everyone has some kind of cashback portal. I like to be consistent with Rakuten. And then if I'm looking for specific points within a different, usually airline or hotel, then maybe there too, or credit card. The next is loyalty programs. If you are traveling and staying at a hotel, a branded hotel, or using an airline, you need to join their loyalty program and start earning points. Now, in most cases, unless you're very regularly flying or staying with them, it's a slow game with loyalty programs. But the thing with loyalty programs is they run promotions. So like we stayed at a dump, but it was a Best Western brand. Not all Best Westerns are dump, but we stayed there they happened to be running a promotion, and I had a loyalty program, and we actually got a free night stay at a different Best Western, which was much better, just because we were members of the loyalty program. So keep that in mind. Joining those loyalty programs, they're free. They just usually require your email address, and then start tracking it. We have a document where I just put all of the points we have for each brand to help keep track. Then if you do the points and miles game with Amber, those loyalty programs can become a lot more beneficial to you as well. Okay, wow, that was just the first one. Okay, let's get going, guys. Okay, now we're on splurge versus saving. This one goes a little bit faster. It's a little bit more common sense. You're going to pick one splurge, usually tied to your purpose or those main priorities, okay? And then you're going to think about 2 saves that you can do to help balance out that splurge. So if it's we want to eat crepes in Paris, which are probably even not that much of a splurge, to be honest, but for our family that pretty much eats at McDonald's or the grocery store when we're on travel, paying, $10 a person for €10 for a meal or whatever will feel like a splurge for us. Okay. So pick the one splurge that matters most. This may be like if you're going to an amusement park, that is obviously the splurge. And then think about 2 ways to balance your budget so that you're not just everything's a splurge. So the amusement park, it could be bring our own water bottles and snacks. And maybe you'll still pay the fee, obviously, to get in, and maybe buy one meal and make it like the big meal of the day. So that's just kind of how it all goes. You need to have balance. We need to have 1 splurge, 2 saves is kind of a nice way of balancing it. And then always with your funds, let your purpose drive the spend. We actually skip a lot of stuff as a family when we travel, and our kids don't really know. And it doesn't mean everyone has to do it that way. But let your purpose drive the spend, and you make those splurges count. And so you do want to have kind of a plan going into that. The next is having a baseline. So let me explain what this means. The first is I call it the 5-minute baseline, and that is we've picked a destination. Guess what? It's going to be Paris because that's our example for today. When I say we're going to go to Paris and we're going to go to spring break, like let's try it out. It's going to be first, I'm going to go look at flights for our dates, and write down like the price range. Then I'm going to go and see like hotels. Do I know Paris very well? I mean, I've been there before, so I kind of know where I want to stay, but I don't even know the city that well. So it's kind of a gamble, but I'll kind of try to get an average price for a hotel night there and add those up. And then if I have any other additional transportation that will be consistent. With Paris, it still wouldn't be certain. I probably wouldn't rent a car personally, unless we're staying out of the city. Anyways, things like that. So basically get your flights, get your lodging, give a rough estimate of what you think you would want to spend on food and activities. And that's your 5-minute baseline. So start with that chunk right there. From there, you do the research. You start looking at what it actually costs, or a little bit more detailed, and narrow it down. And then you adjust. And that's where you can pull in Google Flights, and you can adjust the lever. Okay, that's where you change your dates. It's where you use the date grid option. Oh, if we left a day early, or we came home a day early, or went there a day early, came home a day early, like could we save, especially with flights and a family of, for us, it's 5, that could save you several $100s one way or another. Same thing for maybe we don't need a hotel that has, Eiffel Tower views. Okay, maybe we're okay sitting in a different, they have, I wouldn't say neighborhoods, but it's called something else. We don't have to stay in the 5th. We can stay in the whatever to help adjust that way and see if you can get that budget more on track for you. So you're going to start with a quick estimate. So you're looking at real numbers and not just guessing like, oh, I think Paris will cost us $15,000. Sure, have a number that you're comfortable with, but for us, we're all looking to reduce the budget mostly. And so it's nice to have some kind of baseline that's realistic. And that gives you a reality check. And then it helps you know where to search, and then adjust one lever at a time to see. Maybe you're not going to go to Paris for spring break. Maybe you're going to go to Paris for fall break. Or maybe you're going to go during the winter, okay, when it's the off season, things like that to help you adjust. So those are the three. It's the, let's go back and review the three just real quick. Use the right tools, splurge versus save, have a baseline. So I created something for you to help create that baseline. It's the travel cost calculator you'll put in. To be honest, though, I do want to give you a caveat. These are all US based right now. I'm hoping to make an international option as well, but there's just so many components. So this is a US based. So if you're in, and I tried to take a lot of origin cities into account. So just pick the one that's closest to you. But if you say Salt Lake City to New York City in September, and you can fill in these parameters, and it's going to give you a 5-minute baseline is what it's going to give you. You need to hone it in. I do think it tends to overestimate the cost based off of what I usually spend. But this tool, this calculator, is free for you to use. I'll give you the link to it in a little bit. And you can help give you that 5-minute baseline. Oh, at least I'm glad it's helpful for you. And I love to hear feedback also, guys, as you've used these tools, what you like and don't like about them. Okay, we're on myth number 3. Oh, and Ellen actually said something really helpful in the chat as well. She said, when we're talking about the splurge into saves, that's just like good life advice, right? Because we want to find balance in our budget in all things, right? So I love that. Okay, myth number 3, planning a trip has to take hours and hours. I am guilty of spending hours and hours on planning travel, but I also love it. And I also realize not everyone does. And you want to have a quick, streamlined process and to beat that fear of like forgetting something. So planning a trip has to take hours and hours. That is not true. You do not have to spend more time planning the trip than getting to your destination. If I don't spend tons of time researching, I'm going to miss something important. That's a big fear of mine sometimes. It goes back to the FOMO, or it goes back to like some kind of trip disaster. But I'm going to tell you again, if you have a clear purpose, even when things go wrong, you can pivot and you can face those problems head on. So even if you do missing something important, you're going to be able to be okay if you have that purpose with you. A simple system can help you plan faster and better. Okay. We talked about the FOMO, so that's the purpose, and we'll dive in a little bit deeper. It's part of that system. But the truth is, it's a secret to saving time isn't always doing less, but it's having a repeatable process that you feel comfortable with every time you plan. So think about routines at home. Some of us may be better at them than others, but we've all probably had at least one time when planning a routine was successful, right? It might be that we finally have kind of gotten my kids out the door for school. We kind of finally found our routine, or maybe it's bedtime or meal prep. Hopefully it's all of those things, but usually at least one routine is off, right? But at first, when you're trying to get the routine going and you're adjusting to it, it can still feel chaotic, even though it's a system or a routine. It's still new and you have to get used to it. But once you create that routine and you stick to it, each time you do it, it's going to run smoother and you're able to pivot, right? When things come up. Oh, I knocked my camera because you don't have to reinvent it every day. So that's what this is. The secret to saving time isn't doing less. It's using the same repeatable process every time. When you follow a framework, you cut out the guesswork, you reduce the decision fatigue, and you avoid having to start from scratch each time. Oh, this is me, right? This is me like right before this started, right? Planning this webinar and getting it all ready. Have you ever sat down to plan a trip and your brain immediately jumps to everything all at once? Who is going to feed the pets or water my plants? Can we afford this? Like, what are we thinking? We shouldn't go on this trip. What if someone gets car sick or sick in general? Where are we going to stay? Will we have enough of things to do? I feel like a lot of us can resonate with that. And it's exhausting, right? And you're like, not worth it, because it feels like everything is so urgent and you have to think of it all right now. But we would much rather be this lovely lady here, right? When you have a repeatable system, that spiral, that worry is going to stop because you don't have to keep everything in your head. You just follow the steps and suddenly the planning feels lighter and easier. And that's how you become the mom feels calm and confident when you're traveling and planning instead of weighed down by all of it. Okay. So I'm assuming you guys want to know what this system is, right? Okay. Here it is. It's really simple. I love a good acronym. It's TRIPS, the TRIPS method. You're going to think it through. And we're going to talk about each of these in a minute. Think it through, then reservations, itinerary, prep, streamline. Yes, Kendra. Yes. You want to hear it, and here it is. So let's break it down really quickly so that you can feel more ready. So you can feel better prepared for planning your next trip. And it's using this TRIPS method. So number one is T, TRIPS. Think it through. Now, in Family Travel Made Easy, my membership, we go through, I actually have a dedicated module for each and every one of these steps where we really dive into the different aspects of that step so that you can, I think, kind of build a really strong foundation that then you repeat and don't have to spend as much time on each time. But even if you're not in the membership, this is some basics that you can use. So T is think it through, and you can just kind of check off each of these items. You'll be prepared for your next trip. Number one, I've defined the purpose of our trip so I can focus on what matters most. Number two, I have set a realistic budget that fits our goals and helps guide decisions. So this is the first step to planning any trip, is you have a purpose for your trip and you have a realistic budget. Can those things be adjusted? Absolutely, right? We're all about flexibility. But this is where you want to start, because those two things are going to guide your decisions for all of the remaining steps. Next is our reservations. I've used filters. I've used comparison tools. So like Google Flights or OTAs. An OTA is an online travel agency. It's like booking.com. Okay. They are there for you to find places to stay, and then they make a little money on the side if you book through them. I love using OTAs like booking.com to do my research. I don't always book through them because sometimes it's cheaper to book direct with the hotel or the vacation rental and stuff like that. Just a little side note. But I do always start at Google Flights and booking.com or something like it to help me compare everything for my reservations. This is what can really suck up a lot of your time. And so you might want to set some guidelines or parameters there as well. But if you have that purpose and you have that budget, it will automatically eliminate a lot of things when it comes to reservations. And then the next step is I've completed and recorded all the reservations with names, dates, and payment details. So I make a sound, I don't want to be like deceptive. Reservations, researching, all of that can take a lot of time. But again, when I go into it in depth in Family Travel Made Easy, I walk you through OTAs, I walk you through Google Flights, and I have worksheets to help you kind of streamline that process. And you can totally do that. And then you just want to make sure you have everything recorded and stored in the same thing, whether it's like a Google Drive or like a folder in your email, just so that you have those things easily accessible. I is itinerary. I've created a flexible plan that matches our travel style and time frame. We talked a lot about itinerary when we talked about our purpose and priorities. Those are going to help build your itinerary. Same thing for your now I can't remember the words I used for it. Your anchor and your backup and your rest. If you use that kind of formula to create your day-to-day itinerary, you're good. Some people are type A and they love to have it like by the hour. Some people, this person, but you do not have to do it that way. And when you are type A like that, you do have to literally build in rest time into that. And then you need to organize that itinerary. I use Wanderlog. It's an amazing tool. It's free. There's paid versions. I use the free version. So if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend Wanderlog. But I also encourage you to think about other things. If you're a Google Drive person or a spreadsheet person, like there's nothing wrong with using those. Okay. So just, you need to have an organized itinerary. It literally can be like Monday, anchor and the idea, backup or extra and the idea or two, rest. How are you going to make sure you're not burning yourself out? And that's your itinerary. But having one also helps your kids. We haven't really talked about the kids a lot. The kids have like an idea and some buy-in on that too. And we talk about that in FTME as well. But yeah. Oh, Elise heard about Wanderlog from me. Oh, I'm glad. I'm changing lives with Wanderlog. And Amber loves it too. It's such a nice thing to keep in place, and it's easy to share. I love that. Okay, prep and pack. That's the letter P for trips. We're almost there, guys. I've packed with purpose, bringing what we actually need for the trip, and I've handled key prep at home so we can leave feeling ready and relaxed. And if you need some guidance there, I do have some freebies on travel to-do lists and packing lists as well if you're feeling lost there. But the key thing is to not overthink it. To have a list and that consistency, and be okay. In most cases, if you forget something, it's going to be okay because there's going to be a store. So just kind of remember that and don't put so much pressure. And this is a big one where I feel like you can share the burden with, even if you're the primary planner for the trip, share this burden with the family. Even non-readers for children can help pack their own bags, or I shouldn't say put them in because you're going to want to check it, but have them like gather their items. So keep that in mind. The next is prep and pack. And then lastly, we have survey and streamline. I have reflected on the trip so I can keep what worked and adjust what didn't. I have started building a repeatable system that makes future planning easier and faster. So this is continual. This is actually after the trip. You do need to think about, okay, what went miserably wrong? And is there any way to prevent that next time? Sometimes it isn't. For us though, like we stayed at a not so great hotel. I think I already mentioned it. It wasn't great. It was fine, but I would never stay there again. And so that has kind of made me adjust how I'm looking at accommodations, that as my kids are getting older and as I am getting older and maybe just needing more comfort or cleanliness, I don't know, my standards have changed and I can adjust that when I go and do reservations next time. So lucky you, everything we just went through in terms of like the I have or I can, I think they all say I have, huh? I have, and then done the following, you get this checklist, boop, 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 it's yours. You can print it out. And now every time you travel, you have this printable framework to walk you through that as well. Yay, right? Celebration. But here's your like little pep talk. Okay. You ready for a pep talk? It's time for you to have a new normal when it comes to family travel. It's time to stop feeling stressed of trying to balance it all and be in control of everything. You need to stop feeling lost. You need to stop feeling confused whether you've picked the right destination or you're paying the best price or you're doing it all wrong. It's time for that to change for you, okay? And this is what you need. What you need is the skills, you need the smarts, and you need support. Okay. And once you have the skills, the smarts, and the support, you're going to be unstoppable. You're going to be unstoppable. You are capable of planning great trips on budget. You know your family better than anyone else and what they need. And you can help establish that purpose and travel and create that travel plan for them. That's going to be not what your neighbors had, not what your in-laws have said, but what is right for your family. You've got this. And I hope that I've helped you realize that today. I hope that I've given you some new skills in like maybe looking at a purpose. Maybe I've hopefully given you increased your smarts for resources and that you felt my support today. And I actually wanted to share an example of someone who has gained the skills and the smarts and the support to make family travel better and kind of her before and after. So this is Staley. And she said, I avoided planning vacations for my family for years. I always rationalized a way out. And tell me if this is you, right? Tell me if you've ever resonated with how Staley felt. We need to save money. I'm not sure I even like travel. I'm just a homebody. And planning sucks the life out of me. Have you ever experienced or had those thoughts go through your mind, especially around travel, right? And then she said, now that my 3 kids are getting older, I desperately want to overcome my travel fears so we can have quality time together and great memories to look back on. I've also learned that I do so much better with someone by my side to help me hold me accountable, coach me through the process, spot any holes I missed in my planning, and then wish me all the best as I'm on my way out the door. And then I worked with Staley, and she says, Maggie was just what I needed. And I've since felt more confident in myself and my abilities to plan trips that are memorable, not perfect. And here she is on her trip. She took her daughter and husband to New York City, and we worked on this trip with her and worked on skills and support and smarts. And she had a really great experience in New York. Did everything go well? Not necessarily, but now those are those memories that she's talking about. She had some very memorable experiences and was able to pivot. So here's my little friend. This is me waving my hand, asking you permission to share how we can do this together, how we can create the skills and the smarts and the support to help your travel look better. If you're hoping to strengthen those areas and you're hoping to have the confidence to make those memories with your family, this is for you. I want you to feel in control of your itinerary. I want you to be in control of the planning, the budget, and I want you to come home satisfied. So I've created, and I've talked about a little bit earlier, Family Travel Made Easy, meaningful travel on your terms. It is a membership where I teach the skills, give you the smarts, and provide the support to make your family travel more easy. So you are going to feel more empowered because you're planning with purpose and not pressure. You're going to have a go-to travel box where you're not reinventing the wheel. You're going to have planners and templates and resources to help you quickly and easily create the experience. You're going to gain the knowledge to travel more on less and to make wherever you go more meaningful. You're going to be supported through live community question and answer sessions and check-ins. And when you're stuck, you won't be alone. You'll have that person to come to and bring your plan to, get some eyes on it, and move forward with confidence. You're going to save time with a streamlined process. We're going to use that TRIPS method and go deep into it so that you have those repeatable wins. And you're going to involve your kids, not just in travel activities. We'll have monthly downloads, but also we'll talk about ways that your kids can get involved in the travel planning process and take some of that weight off. And of course, your partner too. Hopefully you have a partner who's helping as well. I always just take control of the trip because I like to. So in this membership, Family Travel Made Easy, you will feel empowered. You will have resources. You will gain knowledge. You will be supported. You will save time. You will involve your kids. Think about if this is what you would like. And what I really want you to think about is what the cost is to you. What is it worth? I don't know if I'm going to read all of these because it's a lot, but what is it worth to you to plan within your budget, to come home content, to not have to carry the load all by yourself, to be able to pivot and not feel overwhelmed, to not have that FOMO? Think about what it is worth to you to feel and be this way when it comes to family travel. Because I've got an offer. I want to show you what's inside the Family Travel Made Easy membership, okay? First, you get the TRIPS framework, which we just touched upon, but again, there'll be 5 individual modules that dig into not just the smarts, but the skills and the support on building that TRIPS framework so that you can repeat it over and over. You're gonna get the travel toolkit, which is a living document where I share my favorite apps and why I love them. I shared the tools. So I showed you a couple of tools and resources for free today, but it will not only include those, but several more that I am continuing to build, as well as gear recommendations, things like that. You're going to get monthly consult hours where you get to ask your questions and get that support and maintain that momentum and have me as a cheerleader and the rest of the community cheering you on. And you're also going to get monthly activity downloads, which can engage your kids. They create screen-free fun and help them get excited for trips. This is a little preview of the October download that we're doing. We're talking about fall festivals around the world. And if you added all of these up individually, what I would charge for them, it's $144 a month to access that. But it gets better, because am I going to charge you $144 a month? No, I'm not. I am not. I am offering, this is the first offer, is the fast action bonus with lifetime access. I am only offering lifetime access for I'm only offering lifetime access for this initial launch to create some founding members. So for $149 using the code webinar, and I can pop that in the chat box. parksfamilytravel.com/FTME. Actually, Kendra, I think I gave Kendra the links early, and I think Kendra will help me out and put those in the chat box for you. You can go to parksfamilytravel.com/FTME for Family Travel Made Easy and use the code webinar. And that will save you. It's $199 for most people. That's after this replay. So if you're watching the replay, you still have access to it. Okay. But in about 48 hours, this is going to end and that code will no longer be available. And you can get lifetime access to the membership. You never have to worry about a monthly payment or an annual payment or anything like that. $149 out the door, you're good and you're golden. If you are wanting to explore it a little more, now note that that lifetime access is going to end. So I am not offering that again. So this is kind of the time to act on that if you're excited to work with me. If you want to learn a little bit more and give it like a test run, I also am offering a discount on our monthly and annual subscriptions. Okay. So same code, webinar. And that will be parksfamilytravel.com/FTME. And I am going to put it in here. HTTPS parksfamilytravel.com/FTME. That should work. Click that link, use the code webinar, and that'll get you ready to go and set. I'm moving it down to $7 a month. So that's the price of just having a monthly activity download that's printable. I'm a former educator. I try to make the activities something that's meaningful and educational, but also fun for the kids. I test them all out on my own children. So really for the price of just having the monthly download, you're able to access everything else, right? The trips framework, the Q&As, the travel toolbox. If you want to save even more money and commit to a year, it's only $67 a year, which is about 20% cheaper than doing the monthly payment. Again, that's parksfamilytravel.com/FTME. That'll give you all of the options, and then you can use code webinar. What I want to show you next, though, is your freebies. A lot of you have stuck around, and I am so grateful. And we're going to do a Q&A. So this is your time to start putting your questions in. I think Kendra had a question about budget. She can put it in here. Anything travel or membership related, put it in the Q&A, but I am going to give you your freebies too while you're here. So free, I love free. If you know me personally, you're like, yes, this girl's all about the free. So I promised you free printables. I showed you what they were. So let me get you that access. So you can use this QR code. Oh, and look, my face blocks it. So use the QR code and I'll put this in the chat box. It's going to be parksfamilytravel.com/webinar. Okay, this is for the freebies. So if you click on that right now, because my little face is blocking it, or you scan the QR code. Yeah, Ellen, I love free stuff too. It will get you the travel purpose planner, the travel cost calculator, and your map to successful trips. I'm not even asking like for your email or anything. You've already given your email to me by joining me here today. Thank you. Love having you. You just need to go to that website and these will be accessible to you. Okay. parksfamilytravel.com/webinar. Remember, FTME is going to be where you join I'll put it back in here. In here. Oh, and we have, I put the wrong link. Don't load that. Okay, good. But that's going to get you there. And I have one more freebie for those who are live. So those of you who are with me right now, who didn't leave early, and my face is blocking it again, this is going to be, you're going to want this one. And you need to fill it out within the next 2 hours, okay? But it doesn't take a lot and it gets you excited. parksfamilytravel.com/audit. Okay, this is your last freebie. And again, sorry if you're watching the recording, this is only going to be valid for 1 or 2 hours after the webinar. parksfamilytravel.com/audit. There is going to be a form for you to fill out, and it's going to ask you all about the next trip you want to plan. And the more detailed you can be, the better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to audit what you shared with me. You're going to send me all your information that you have so far, or your hopes, your dreams. If you're still here, I know you were planning a 10-year anniversary, fill this out. and it will get sent to me. And then I will give you feedback and suggestions to help you in your next steps for this trip. Questions you're going to want to ask yourself. If I can find you some suggestions for hotels or flights or whatever, I'm going to give that to you. So keep that in mind. This is a freebie. It only lasts for another hour, but I do have some questions about family travel made easy. So I'm going to answer those as we go through. Oh, it's not saving it. Hold on. I'm going to open up the link and then I'll talk about it. Okay, I saw some questions. Kendra said, what if we only travel once or twice a year? Like, is the membership still worth it? Yes, absolutely. Because first of all, when you're planning trips and you're only taking 1 or 2 a year, you're probably putting a lot of pressure on yourself to make them great trips. All trips can be great trips. But this is going to help you before you're even in that planning stage, get that foundational skills and smarts, skills and knowledge to plan the trip. And then whenever you are planning a trip, you get these Q&A every month to bring to me basically what we're doing in an audit, right? You bring to me the plan and we talk it out, and maybe some of the help you get through that process, maybe somewhere where you're stuck. So it's absolutely worth it if you only go on 1 or 2 trips a year. I think Ellen asked something, can this help with trips to visit family, having fun too? Yeah, so we call it the family travel made easy, but really a family unit looks different for everyone. There's just, I really take into account traveling with children, but you don't have to be going, you could just be going on a trip to grandma and grandpa's. When I say we go to 6 to 7 trips, I include grandma and grandpa in California. We're getting on an airplane, we're spending time there. We're usually trying to do a few activities as well. Those are full on trips, even though we're just visiting family. So it absolutely works for that too. And Kendra also asked, like, if I don't travel often. It really is. And even if you love the idea of travel and what your kids can experience in travel, think about the monthly membership just for the activity downloads, where you can supplement, like when you're not able to travel, either because of budget constraints or who knows what's coming, if there's another shutdown on travel, you have these resources to still make travel and some of those experiences you can have with travel in your own home. I'm really excited about those monthly download portion. Are there any other questions you have? I'm just so grateful that you are here. I'm going to put that link again into the chat box. This is it's still the same link, parksfamilytravel.com/FTME. Again, if you're watching this right now, you have access to everything but this audit. You get the discount code webinar. It's good for about 48 hours. So what's today, Monday? I'd say Monday, end of Tuesday. So midnight on Tuesday, Wednesday morning, this code will no longer be valid, but I want to join. Heidi, thank you. I'm glad you love these resources. And Kendra wanted to know what was included again. So let me go back and show you. Actually, I'm going to log, maybe I can't log in right now. But let me review what is shared with you within the membership. Okay, we have the TRIPS framework. So this used to be a course that I sold, the TRIPS framework. I sold it for $57 was what its base price was. And I decided that it would be better used with having these extra skills and support built in as well. And so that's why I created the membership. So it comes with basically a full-on course going into that TRIPS framework and in detail and teaching you those skills and smarts on travel planning effectively and on budget. So you can decide faster, plan with purpose, reuse those steps over and over. It also includes what's called the travel toolkit. So this is a document where I put links and descriptions of tools I've created, like the travel calculator. And it also helps you, use apps and tools like that. Recommended price would be $47 just for the document. The consult hours are worth about $35 to $50, depending. And that's part of the membership is, I didn't even mention this part. So if you're still with me, we are actually, the first 6 weeks are going to be weekly hours. So those of you who have like a trip on the mind, you actually have access your first month. You get to meet with me weekly and discuss any questions you may have. And then lastly, that monthly activity download. You guys are all just so wonderful. I'm so glad you are here. remember to reach out to me. Oh, now I'm going to blank slides that didn't count or have any need. And if you have any further questions, I'll stay on for a few more minutes. I'll put that website in one more time to see if you want to join the Family Travel Made Easy. Share it with your friends and family. I'd love to have the more the merrier. And I wish you happy travels wherever you may go. Oh, Kendra, I'm glad that this is helpful for you. Yeah, travel should be a joy, not a burden. And I know that it can get hard and we all have unique circumstances, but I hope it was motivating for you. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Thanks again. You are the best. And hopefully I'll see you inside Family Travel Made Easy. Thanks, Amber. Thanks, Ellen.